Chapter 4465. What should we do now? Wan Yinling looked at Di Beichun. Go directly to the Raging Flame School to find my big brother? That doesn't seem appropriate. Although he was looking forward to seeing his big brother immediately, he didn't want to bring trouble to Di Beichun and the others because of his own affairs. You guys go to the restaurant first. We'll go find our big brother. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. We know where he usually goes. We'll go directly to him. Okay. After seeing everyone enter the restaurant, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun set off. Big brother usually has things to do in the guild. At this time, he might be on his way to the guild. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Beichun. They had been with Wan Yinhan for a long time and had a certain understanding of his habits. Di Beichun nodded. Go to the path that they must pass. You'll definitely see them. Wan Yinhan and Yi Haomiao went to the guild as usual. As a member of the guild, they could obtain some cultivation resources by doing some things for the guild. For cultivators like them who had no background, cultivation resources were undoubtedly extremely important. Having such an opportunity was already a great thing for them. It didn't take long for Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun to see two familiar figures coming in their direction. Both of them couldn't help but chuckle. Look, it's Big Brother and Haomiao. As Wan Yinhan and Yi Haomiao got closer, Di Beichun pretended to accidentally bump into them. Ouch! Yi Haomiao took 2 steps back. He frowned and looked at the man in front of him unhappily. Why don't you watch where you're going? Sorry. Di Beichun smiled. Looking at Di Beichun's bright smile, Yi Haomiao felt annoyed for no reason. Do you look like you're apologizing? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a smile. Brother, I can tell at a glance that we are destined to be good friends. What do you think? What nonsense are you talking about? Yi Haomiao looked at the 2 people in front of him in confusion. Whether it was their appearance or their words, they were all baffling. He actually didn't know what to say. He had seen people who acted like they were familiar with each other, but he had never seen someone who acted like they were familiar with each other. Wan Yinhan looked at the 2 people in front of him, but inexplicably felt a feeling of déjà vu. He could not help asking, who are you guys? Of course we're your good friends. Bailey Hongzhuang dragged her words. Eldest senior brother. Both Wan Yinhan and Yi Haomiao couldn't help but be stunned when they heard the words, eldest senior brother. Both of them widened their eyes in disbelief. Junior sister? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. Haha, it's been a long time. Junior sister, you guys are still alive? Wan Yinhan's face was filled with surprise. That's great. So it's you guys. I was wondering why the other party was so baffling. You guys are deliberately messing with me. Yi Haomiao laughed and scolded. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Isn't this a surprise for you guys? Where have you been all this time? We thought you guys... Shoo! Di Beichun lowered his voice. Chapter 4466. Eldest senior brother, come find us at the Yunlai restaurant when you're done, Bailey Hongzhuang said. However, Wan Yinhan shook his head. How can we still be in the mood to go to the guild in this situation? You should tell us what happened during this period of time. It's been too torturous for us. Seeing that Di Beichun and Bailey Hongzhuang had returned safely, they felt as if a huge rock had been lifted from their hearts. Their entire bodies relaxed, and their hearts were immersed in joy. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun looked at each other and nodded with a smile. Okay, then let's talk as we walk. This time we came back with a big gift for you, eldest senior brother. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked and pretended to be mysterious. A big gift? Wan Yinhan looked puzzled. What gift? You'll know when you see it with your own eyes. Your return this time is really mysterious. Yi Haomiao narrowed his eyes. Obviously, he felt helpless against these 2 people who kept him in suspense. As long as it's a surprise and not a shock. That's true. In that case, you also don't know who attacked you previously? Wan Yinhan's face was filled with surprise. He completely didn't expect such an outcome. Di Beichun nodded. The other party was very secretive. They didn't say anything until the end. We think it was either Xiao Rojin or the vice president of the Holy Assembly. These 2 people are not easy to deal with. Yi Haomiao's eyes were filled with disgust. He really didn't have a good impression of these 2 people. We've come back this time to confirm the identity of the person who attacked us. Then, Are you disguising yourselves to avoid being discovered by them? Wanyan Han asked. He had already seen Bailey Hongzhuang's disguise technique, so he didn't find it strange at all. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. The assassins from last time must have thought that we were dead. If we come back, we will definitely attract their attention again. Last time, we had a narrow escape from death. If we encounter it again, we might not be so lucky. You're right. Wanyan Han's expression was solemn and serious. This time, after you come back, you must be careful. You must not be discovered by them. Don't worry, Hao Miao and I will keep it a secret. We definitely won't let it slip. Yi Hao Miao hurriedly nodded as well. That's right, we definitely won't leak it out. Previously, when they thought that Bailey Hongzhuang and Gu Shijiu had met with a mishap, they felt terrible for a long time. They thought that they would never be able to get rid of the guilt in their hearts in this lifetime. Now that the two of them had returned safely, they did not want to go through the same thing again. Of course we believe you, Bewitching replied. Not long after, the group of 4 arrived at Yunlai restaurant. After asking the innkeeper, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others already knew where Ziren and the others' rooms were. They immediately went up. Standing outside the door, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Wanyan Han with a smile. Eldest senior brother, the big surprise I want to give you is inside. Bewitching also smiled faintly and nodded. He had often heard Wanyan Han mention Wanyan Ling. Now that he could finally see her in the upper world, he must be extremely excited. Chapter 4467. Wanyan Han looked at Bailey Hongzhuang helplessly, but he was also looking forward to it. The two of them said they wanted to give him a surprise when they met. He couldn't figure out what kind of surprise they had prepared for him. Inside the room, Wanyan Ling had been waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang and Wanyan Han to come back. Suddenly, he heard a familiar voice outside the door. His eyes lit up. He hadn't heard his elder brother's voice for a long time. This was clearly his elder brother's voice. As Wanyan Han pushed open the door, he saw his younger brother, Wanyan Ling, looking at the figure in front of him. He couldn't help but be stunned. Then, his stunned expression turned into a deep surprise and even ecstasy. Younger brother, elder brother. Their voices were filled with excitement and joy. They immediately gave each other a hug. Younger brother, you finally came to the upper world. Wanyan Han's eyes flashed with excitement. Back then, the two of them came to Penglai Island to explore. Later, he came to the upper world first, and then he had been waiting for Wanyan Ling to come. However, it had been so long. Although he had been looking forward to it, he didn't know when he would see his younger brother again. He didn't expect to suddenly give him such a big surprise. He even wondered if he was dreaming. Wanyan Ling nodded excitedly. Yes, elder brother. I'm late. After the two brothers calmed down, Wanyan Han looked at Ziren and the others. Seeing this, Bewitching introduced, they are Mo Yunjue, Ziren, and Shang Waningying. They're all our good friends and also cultivators of Penglai Palace. So it's junior brother and sister. Wanyan Han cupped his fists. Greetings, elder brother. I've long heard that elder brother is dignified and elegant. Today, I see that you really live up to your reputation. Junior brother and sister are too polite. But you guys, you already have such cultivation at such a young age. You will definitely have great achievements in the future. Wanyan Han's face was full of smiles. He turned to Wanyan Ling and said, Little brother, did you meet by chance? I came with junior brother Mo and the others. When we were in Shuiyun City, we happened to run into junior brother Di and the others. They knew that you were here, so we came together. Following Wanyan Ling's words, Wanyan Han finally understood. I see. Eldest senior brother, are you satisfied with the surprise we prepared? Bailey Hongzhuang asked with a smile. Wanyan Han nodded repeatedly. Satisfied, I'm very satisfied. But why are you going to Shuiyun City? It's a long story. When everyone gathered together, Bailey Hongzhuang told them what had happened that day. After listening to everything, Wanyan Han and Yi Hao Miao were shocked. I didn't expect the process to be so dangerous. You were so close to losing your lives. So we came back this time to change our identities. We can also take this opportunity to investigate who did it, Bewitching said in a low voice. Are you planning to stay in Rome in a city like this? Yi Hao Miao couldn't help but ask. Di Baichen nodded. Yes, there's no problem with your disguise, but it's not easy to pretend to be another person without being discovered. Chapter 4468. We'll be careful. Bailey Hongzhuang looked serious. Fortunately, we didn't know many cultivators in the Blazing Flame sect, so they don't know us very well. As long as we're careful, we shouldn't be discovered. That's true. Wang Yanhan nodded. Actually, they don't know much about you. Plus, you came together this time, so I don't think they'll doubt me if I say that you're all my junior brothers and sisters. That's right. Eldest senior brother, it doesn't seem like the time for the Blazing Flame sect to recruit disciples, right? Bailey Hongzhuang pondered. It hadn't been long since the last time the new disciples had reported. The Blazing Flame sect recruited once a year, so it naturally wasn't the time yet. It's indeed not the time for recruitment, but there are other recruitment methods. I'll go back and talk to Steward Wu. Maybe it'll work. If it doesn't work, there's no need to make things difficult. It doesn't matter if we don't join, Di Baichun said. Wan Yinling also said, that's right, big brother. At most, I'll wait until next year. Anyway, I'm already here. There's still a long way to go. Haha, that's right. Wan Yanhan laughed heartily and patted Wan Yinling's shoulder. Now that you're here, we can roam the world together again. Eldest senior brother, why don't you tell us what happened after we left so that we can understand more? Di Baichun's eyes flashed with wisdom and contemplation. They needed more information to make a judgment about the situation before them. The situation back then was very unexpected. When Yi Hao Miao and I heard the news, we rushed over immediately. However, we only saw the corpses of the Di family cultivators. We didn't see any of you. Later, we saw two men in black. They were so fast that we didn't even have time to see them clearly before they disappeared. Then, we noticed the skeleton army behind us, so everyone thought that you were dead. Xiao Rojin seemed rather happy when she saw this situation. She looked like it had nothing to do with her. Wang Yanhan was very angry because of this. He even argued with Xiao Rojin, but she ignored him. Ever since you left, she became the only light cultivator in the Raging Flame School. I feel like she's become even more arrogant recently. Yi Hao Miao's eyes revealed a look of disgust. In the past, he didn't have a good impression of Xiao Rojin. Now, he really hated her more and more. Any news from the Radiant St. Hall? Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow and asked. I heard that the president felt very sorry for you after hearing about your death. As for the vice president, needless to say, she must be very happy. She's been looking for trouble with you before, so she's naturally the happiest when you're no longer around. Since you're coming back this time, your attributes naturally can't be changed. Fortunately, you've already awakened. When the time comes, as long as you don't reveal your true talent level, you shouldn't be discovered. I understand. Di Baichun lowered his gaze. His gaze was deep and profound. If they wanted to investigate the situation clearly, they had to eliminate these two possibilities. At night, everyone drank to their heart's content. You two really gave us a big surprise today. Firstly, you came back safely. Secondly, my little brother came too. Let me toast you. Senior brother, you're too polite. Thank you for taking care of us during this period. Chapter 4469. The next day, Wan Yanhan immediately went to look for Steward Wu. Earlier, he had already told Steward Wu that he had a younger brother who would be joining the Blazing Flame School with him. Steward Wu had also agreed to this at the beginning. However, when Wu Wenfeng heard that there were a total of 7 cultivators, he could not help but frown. You mean that all of them have to join the Blazing Flame School? Wan Yanhan nodded. Steward Wu, I know this will make things difficult for you, but they are all very talented in cultivation. They definitely won't disappoint you. Wu Wenfeng sighed and said earnestly, Wan Yanhan, you should know that I have always thought highly of you. Ever since you joined the Blazing Flame School, I have always thought highly of you. However, the Blazing Flame School is not something that I could decide alone. Previously, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Baichun's performance was extremely outstanding. In addition, Bailey Hongzhuang is an inscription master, so I agreed to let them join. However, I can't possibly recruit all the cultivators from Penglai Palace. After all, the Blazing Flame School's recruitment criteria are not simple. I can't let everyone think that I am biased. What do you think? Hearing this, Wang Yanhan nodded. Steward Wu, I understand what you mean. It's good that you understand. Therefore, I can't promise you this. Don't take it to heart. As for your younger brother, I have promised you before that he can join. Thank you, Steward Wu. Wang Yanhan clasped his fists together. Cultivate well. I believe that you will achieve great things. After walking out the door, Yi Hao Miao hurried over and asked, How was it? Did Steward Wu agree? Wang Yanhan shook his head. No. Hearing this, Yi Hao Miao sighed. Actually, this is not surprising. With so many people joining the Blazing Flame School, the possibility of them agreeing is not high. After all, this is too big of a commotion. Everyone will be dissatisfied with Steward Wu. This is indeed difficult for Steward Wu. However, if this is the case, what will Junior Sister and the others do? If everyone could join and cultivate together, that would undoubtedly be the best. But now that this idea was rejected, didn't that mean that they wouldn't be able to cultivate together in the future? There's nothing we can do about it. We'll think of something when the time comes. Yi Hao Miao was also somewhat helpless. If Steward Wu did not agree, then they had no other choice. If it really doesn't work, then we'll just wait for a year. Given their strength during the recruitment next year, there definitely won't be any problems. But they've just arrived in the upper realm and are in need of cultivation resources. If they don't join a force, it will affect their cultivation. Let's go over and discuss with them first. Although Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were disappointed when they heard the result, they were not surprised. With so many of us here, Steward Wu really can't make the decision. Eldest senior brother, don't mind him. Bailey Hongzhuang comforted. Alas, I still couldn't handle this matter well. Wang Yanhan was somewhat helpless. Steward Wu said that at most, he can only let my younger brother join because this is what he promised me before. If it's just one person, he can make the decision. Once there are so many people, then the man can make the decision. If that's the case, then senior brother Ling should join the Blazing Flame School first, Bewitching said. Chapter 4470. Seeing Wang Yanling's firm refusal, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at each other and smiled. As expected, both Wang Yanhan and Wang Yanling were very loyal. Senior brother Ling, it doesn't matter. You can join first. It's not too late for us to find a chance to join in the future, Xiren said with a smile. They came here mainly to help Di Beichun find out who was chasing after him. Wang Yanling was different. Wang Yanling was going to stay here and travel with Wang Yanhan in the future. If they gave up because of them, it wouldn't be worth it. However, Wang Yanling shook his head firmly. No. At this moment, Yi Hao Miao's eyes flashed with a different light. Actually, I've thought of another idea. I just don't know what you think. What idea? Everyone looked at Yi Hao Miao with some doubts. The Green Dragon Clan will be recruiting disciples in a few days. Actually, you can go to the Green Dragon Clan. That way, the possibility of people suspecting you will be even smaller. Moreover, the benefits of being a disciple of the Green Dragon Clan are not bad. Although it's a little less than the Blazing Flames Clan, there's not much difference. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at each other. This idea is actually not bad. Di Beichun nodded. To them, it was just finding a place to stay in Romance City. No matter which clan they joined, there was no problem. However, the Green Dragon Clan and the Blazing Flames Clan are quite hostile. Won't that have a bad effect? Wang Yanhan shook his head. I've already told Steward Wu about this. He was the one who didn't agree. It's fine if you want to join other clans. After all, you have to consider your own interests. What do you think? Di Beichun looked at Xiren and the others. They might need some time to investigate these problems. On the other hand, they should use this time to improve their cultivation as soon as possible. We don't have any objections. Seeing that no one had any objections, Di Beichun said, then it's decided. We won't stay in Rome and City for too long. I don't think there will be too much of an impact. Senior brother Ling, if we join the Azure Dragon School, you should join the Raging Flame School. You are, after all, eldest senior brother's blood brother. If you join the opposing force with us, it won't be good for eldest senior brother. If word of this gets out, it might be used against you. Bailey Hong Zhuang's beautiful and delicate face was full of seriousness. She had stayed in the Raging Flames sect for a while, so she was very familiar with the situation inside. As a cultivator from the lower realm, it was not easy for him to gain a foothold. Once he was caught, he would be in big trouble. That's right. Hong Zhuang is right. Senior brother Ling should join the Raging Flames sect. There's nothing between us. It doesn't matter which faction we join. Seeing this, Wan Yinling thought for a moment and nodded. All right then. After everyone had made their decision, Wan Yinling followed Wan Yinhan and Wan Yinling to the Scorching Flame School. With his talent, joining the Scorching Flame School was no problem at all. The Azure Dragon School's recruitment exam was 3 days later. Their timing was extremely coincidental. If they had come a few days later, they would have missed it. In that case, after we join the Azure Dragon School, we will also be able to awaken our innate talent. Chapter 4471. That's right. Everyone will awaken their innate talents when the time comes, but Hong Zhuang and I have already awakened our innate talents, so there's no need for that, Di Beichan said in a deep voice. I'm really curious about my element. Who knows, I might be a prodigy too. When Xiren raised his eyebrows and chuckled, everyone looked at each other and smiled. Now that the issue of where to go had been resolved, everyone was relieved. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the Azure Dragon clan to register. Bailey Hongzhuang's group of 6 immediately made their way to the Azure Dragon clan. The Azure Dragon clan and the Blazing clan were both in Rome and city, but they were on opposite sides of the city. It could be said that they each occupied a territory. Standing in front of the Azure Dragon gang's door, they found that the buildings here were mainly made of cyan. Everywhere they looked was a rich cyan color. The spiraling Azure Dragon was awe-inspiring, making people feel intimidated at first glance. When they arrived, the registration area was already filled with cultivators, ranging from their 20s to 30s. At that moment, everyone's faces were filled with excitement and nervousness. They only hoped that they could become a member of the Azure Dragon clan. When Bailey Hongzhuang's group of 6 appeared, they attracted a lot of attention. After all, it was rare for so many people to come together. Most cultivators came alone. Why do the 6 of them look so familiar? Are they all here to take the test? I think I've seen them with Wan Yinhan from the Blazing clan before. Why are they here? Could they be spies sent by the Raging Flame School? As the cultivators' doubtful words fell, everyone could not help but look at them. The Azure Dragon clan and the Blazing clan had been competing for many years. Both sides wanted to become the largest force in Rome and city. Unfortunately, they were equally matched in strength, so it was difficult to determine a victor. As a result, they could only keep each other in check all these years. Naturally, spies had appeared during this process. It was unavoidable, but once they were discovered, the spies all met with miserable fates. At this moment, another cultivator smiled gently. Calling them spies is overestimating them. They're all cultivators from the lower world. Wan Yinhan did indeed want to recruit them into the Blazing School, but he was rejected, so they can only come here to try their luck. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's gazes changed again. Their originally doubtful gazes instantly turned into ridicule. So that's how it is, haha. At the same time, the old disciples of the Azure Dragon School looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others with strange gazes. Their old rival had rejected the cultivators outside the door to come to their place. If they accepted them, what would they become? Bailey Hongzhuang and the others obviously didn't expect anyone to know about this situation. From the looks of the other cultivators, they knew that their situation would be a little complicated. What should we do? Why do I feel that everyone is not very friendly to us? Shangwan Ying frowned. This situation was clearly out of everyone's expectations. First senior brother has always been the target of everyone's attention in the Blazing clan. Even the slightest movement of leaves in the wind is known to others. He must have accidentally leaked this time. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly, but that's fine. Everyone will find out about our relationship with first senior brother sooner or later. Chapter 4472. Hearing this, when Zyron and the rest calmed down. Just as Bewitching had said, the Azure Dragon clan recruited cultivators based on their own abilities. As long as they could pass the test, it would not be a problem. As for the other people's gazes, they did not care. After all, who knew how many of these people could successfully join the Azure Dragon clan? Just as the crowd was talking, the steward of the Azure Dragon clan walked out. Looking at the many cultivators gathered in front of him, his loud and clear voice rang out. The test this time is very simple. As long as you enter the testing room, the results will be divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade, and special grade. As long as you can reach middle grade, you will be able to stay. Low-grade cultivators will be eliminated. As soon as these words were spoken, the originally nervous crowd could not help but feel relieved. So, as long as you reach middle grade, you can join the Azure Dragon clan. Previously, I heard from others that the requirements to join the Azure Dragon clan were very high. Now, it looks like that's not the case at all. That's right. As long as it's not low grade, it's fine. I believe that we'll have no problems. As long as it's not low grade, it's fine. This requirement is really not high. Shangguan Yingying looked astonished. There were a total of 4 grades. As long as they eliminated the last grade, it was indeed much easier than they had thought. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze fell on the room with its tightly shut door not far away. Her intuition told her that this test was not as simple as it seemed. Don't be happy too early. According to my judgment, I'm afraid that most cultivators can only reach low grade. A deep and magnetic voice slowly rang out. Bewitching's expression was serious and solemn. It seemed that this testing room was very difficult to pass. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. We have some understanding of the Fiery Flames clan's recruitment requirements. Since the Azure Dragon clan is similar to the Fiery Flames clan, their requirements would not be lower than the Fiery Flames clans. Therefore, the only explanation is that this test is very difficult to pass. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching seemed to have confirmed this point, Zyron and the rest's expressions became more solemn. They believed that Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching's judgment would not be wrong. At this moment, the supervisor's voice sounded again. Everyone, don't think that this requirement is too low. In fact, it's not easy to reach the middle rank in this testing room. The group of cultivators who were originally happy about this matter could not help but be stunned when they heard this. They did not expect this to be the result. However, most of the cultivators were still in disbelief. I heard that this time, the Azure Dragon Gate suffered quite a loss in the demonic dragon abyss. Therefore, I guess that this time, they would need to recruit quite a few disciples. Therefore, I intentionally relaxed the conditions. Indeed, I also heard that both the Azure Dragon School and the Raging Flame School suffered great losses in the demonic dragon abyss. After all, they had lost so many cultivators. They had to find a way to make up for it. Looks like our luck is pretty good this time. Seeing that everyone didn't care, the steward didn't say anything more. When the test started later, everyone would know the result. Now, everyone, start lining up and enter one by one. Male cultivators stand on this side and female cultivators stand on this side. You will be assessed separately. Yes. Everyone quickly separated into 2 groups and stood in front of the testing room's door, waiting to enter the testing room. Chapter 4473. The Azure Dragon School had a total of 2 testing rooms. 2 cultivators, 1 male and 1 female, would enter each room. There was a table placed outside each testing room. The main disciples of the Azure Dragon School were sitting there. Obviously, as long as a cultivator passed the test, they would be able to leave their name on their handbook and become a member of the Azure Dragon School. After the first cultivator walked into the testing room, everyone looked on with anticipation. From the results of the other party's test, they could also roughly judge their own results. We have so many cultivators here, but there are only 2 testing rooms. I don't know when it will be our turn. Yeah, maybe it won't be our turn today. We'll have to wait until tomorrow. However, just as everyone was discussing, the door of the first testing room suddenly opened. A cultivator walked out with a gloomy face. Immediately after, everyone saw 2 big shining words appear on top of the testing room. Inferior. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but be stunned. They didn't expect that the first cultivator would be eliminated. The result of the test is disqualified. Take care. The Azure Dragon School's disciple at the door said indifferently. It seemed that he wasn't the least bit surprised by this result. Next, after the man heard this result, he could only leave dejectedly. Many cultivators wanted to take this opportunity to ask what kind of test was inside. However, the man clearly didn't want to say much. He only hung his head and left quickly. After the man's result came out, the woman also walked out of the room. However, in the next second, everyone saw two big words clearly on top of the room. Inferior. Disqualified next. The woman's face was dejected. Looking at the closed door, she seemed unwilling and helpless. Disqualified. Disqualified. Next. One after another, disqualified voices sounded, gradually extinguishing the enthusiasm of the cultivators present. They originally thought that this was an extremely simple test. They didn't think that it would be so difficult. This is already the sixth one. Until now, I still haven't seen a single disqualified. It seems that this test is really not simple. A.O. Lingxiao frowned. He had always stayed in the A.O. clan before. He didn't know much about the situation of the selection in these cities. However, after witnessing the situation today, he finally understood that the requirements of these forces to recruit cultivators were quite high. The strength of these cultivators is uneven. This result is not surprising. Mo Yunjue said slowly. He had noticed that there were some cultivators in their 30s who were only at the Starlight Realm. They were at the same cultivation level, but they were so much older. One could only imagine how talented they were. Average talent, pass. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded out, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone looked up and saw a young man standing in front of the table with a smile on his face, excitedly recording his name. Seeing this, everyone could not help but reveal an envious expression. He was the first disciple to pass the test. Once he joined the Azure Dragon School, his future path of cultivation would be much better than those of them who had failed. This is your identity token. Take it and go over there to rest. I'll bring you in after the examination. Many thanks, senior brother. Chapter 4474. Following the appearance of the first cultivator who passed the test, there were other cultivators who passed the test one after another. However, compared to the number of cultivators who were eliminated, the ratio was very small. Not only that, even the cultivators who passed the test were only average. Only at this moment did everyone understand that it wasn't the Azure Dragon School that lowered their requirements. What the manager said before was all true. In an instant, the cultivators who were originally full of confidence began to worry. I didn't expect the test to be so difficult. I'm afraid it'll be very difficult to reach average. I can only pray that I can reach the standard. High talent pass. Suddenly, the word high that appeared on the test door attracted everyone's attention. Even the cultivator who was responsible for recording the results with a cold expression revealed a smile when he saw this scene. Welcome to the Green Dragon School. Thank you, senior. The man was about 25 years old. At this moment, his face was filled with a confident and proud smile. Such a result was enough to make him look down on many cultivators. Although there were many cultivators waiting to be tested, the speed of the test was extremely fast. Soon, more than half of the cultivators were tested. Other than the cultivators who were eliminated at the beginning who felt embarrassed and chose to leave, the cultivators who were eliminated later basically chose to stay and watch. After all, they also wanted to see how many cultivators successfully joined in the end. Soon, it was the turn of the cultivator in front of A.O. Lingxiao to take the test. After the man entered, Xiren and the rest could not help but look at A.O. Lingxiao. A.O. Lingxiao, it's your turn soon. No matter what, you have to have a good result, right? Xiren teased. A.O. Lingxiao raised his eyebrows and looked proud. Of course. Not to mention other things, I have to at least get a high grade. Seeing A.O. Lingxiao's proud and confident look, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest could not help but chuckle. Don't be too confident. If the test results are not good, we will laugh at you. Xiren chuckled. Ever since he became familiar with A.O. Ling Xiao, this guy was actually a shameless person who could take a joke. Forget about it. With my strength, I'll definitely pass without a doubt. A.O. Ling Xiao looked at Xiren. Just you wait. If I don't reach the superior level, I'll call you big brother when I come back. Huh? Xiren couldn't help but laugh. I believe you. Otherwise, I'd be taking advantage of having an older brother like you. Don't be happy too early. If I pass and you don't, that would be embarrassing. Don't worry, I definitely won't be worse than you. Xiren smiled. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xiren and A.O. Ling Xiao's familiar faces. She understood that they had been together for so long in the lower realm. Now, they were as close as real brothers. However, when Xiren and A.O. Ling Xiao were making fun of each other, they inadvertently offended quite a number of cultivators. These fellows from the lower realm are really arrogant. Every time they open their mouths, they say superior. They don't even know what level they are at. Chapter 4475. You two be quiet. You're making everyone unhappy. Shangguan Yingying nudged Xiren with her elbow, hinting at the unfriendly gazes around them. They were already disliked here. Now that they had said something like that, it was too easy to make others unhappy. Although they believed in their own abilities, others clearly didn't think so. That would be awkward. Hearing that, Xiren and A.O. Ling Xiao also noticed their surroundings. The cultivators who had failed were looking at them with red eyes. The dissatisfaction in their eyes couldn't be more obvious. Xiren shrugged and said helplessly, I was just joking. Next. At that moment, the Azure Dragon sect cultivator's voice rang out. He also looked at A.O. Ling Xiao with dissatisfaction. However, A.O. Ling Xiao, who had always looked down on others, obviously wouldn't take this to heart. After A.O. Ling Xiao walked into the testing room, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' gazes fell on the door from time to time. They didn't know when he would come out. According to what I observed just now, the longer you stay in this testing room, the more likely you are to get a high score. Mo Yunjue's handsome face was confident and indifferent, and his voice was extremely firm. So, we only need to see how long A.O. Ling Xiao stays in there to guess his level. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. Shangguan Yingying smiled faintly. No matter what, A.O. Ling Xiao used to be a cultivation genius of an aristocratic family. Although his cultivation has regressed a lot and naturally can't be compared to before, passing the Azure Dragon Sex test shouldn't be a problem. However, while Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were full of confidence, everyone else was already certain that A.O. Ling Xiao would fail. This was because in everyone's eyes, they were the people that the Raging Flames sect looked down on. After a while, Bewitching's lips curled into a faint smile. Based on this time, A.O. Ling Xiao should have reached the upper level. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but look at Bewitching. She didn't pay much attention to the time before, but looking at Bewitching's confident look, he probably paid attention to the time before. You non-humans are too observant. Now that you've said that, I don't feel any anticipation anymore. Shangguan Yingying sighed. She had been waiting for the results to come out, but the person beside her had already made a decision. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. You get used to it. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang also noticed that the expression of the Azure Dragon School disciple in charge of recording was a bit strange. Clearly, he didn't quite believe that A.O. Ling Xiao could hold on for so long. In the next moment, the door to the testing room suddenly opened. A.O. Ling Xiao's figure appeared in everyone's line of sight. The test is over. I want to see if he can reach the upper grade. That's right. His attitude is so arrogant. If he doesn't reach the upper tier, I'll have to laugh at him. Everyone looked at the door of the testing room with all their might, looking as if they wanted to laugh at it. However, the heavens didn't stand on their side. Two big words appeared on the door of the testing room. Upper grade. The bright light almost blinded everyone's eyes. Chapter 4476. How can this be? He really is of the upper level? Is this for real? Those two words are clearly written there. How can they be fake? Suddenly, everyone looked at A.O. Ling Xiao with a complicated expression. If the other party was just spouting nonsense, they could ruthlessly trample on him. But when the other party really had such strength, it was no longer arrogance, but confidence. Compared to him, what right did they have to say anything bad about him? The cultivator from the Green Dragon House looked at A.O. Lingxiao with a hesitant expression. He also didn't think that the cultivator who was rejected by the House of Flames would be of such a level. Senior, shouldn't you give me your identity badge? A.O. Lingxiao smiled warmly at the man. He was smart and knew what the man was thinking from the look in his eyes. But so what? Hearing this, the man handed his identity badge to A.O. Lingxiao and said, "Congratulations on passing the test. You can go rest over there." "Thank you, Senior." A.O. Lingxiao smiled faintly. After taking his identity badge, he didn't go to the resting area immediately. Instead, he walked back to Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. "How is it?" A.O. Lingxiao raised his eyebrows proudly. "I said I would definitely be at the upper level, right?" Shangwaning Ying and the others chuckled. "Amazing, amazing. Truly amazing. You want to be my big brother? You're dreaming." A.O. Lingxiao glanced sideways at Ziren and smiled, looking pleased with himself. "It's up to you later. Don't worry. I won't surpass you, but reaching the same level as you won't be a problem." Ziren didn't back down. "No matter what, we have to fight for the cultivators in the lower realm. Then I'll be waiting." "Huh." Just as A.O. Lingxiao went to rest, Shangwaning Ying and Ziren entered the testing room at the same time. Wan Yanhan, Wan Yanling, and Yi Haomiao knew that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were going to take the test at the Green Dragon House today. Although they were sure that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were strong enough, they still couldn't help but want to take a look. However, they did not approach the Azure Dragon School. Instead, they stayed at a place not far away. "I'm really curious about the results of this test. It's a pity that I can't see it with my own eyes in order to avoid suspicion." Yi Haomiao rubbed his hands, unable to conceal the curiosity on his face. "Let's just stay in this tea house and wait for the results. We're too close to them. If the people from the Azure Dragon School see us and bring trouble to them, that wouldn't be good," Wan Yanhan said. Wan Yanling looked helpless. "It's a pity that Steward Wu isn't willing to recruit them. If Steward Wu is willing to meet them, I believe that Steward Wu will recruit them without hesitation once he knows their true strength." "I agree." Yi Haomiao raised his hand and nodded. Steward Wu's decision this time was truly unwise. "Big Brother Yi, if Ziren and the others all become members of the Azure Dragon School, do you think Manager Wu will regret it?" Wan Yanling's eyes flashed with a curious light. He was really curious about this result. "According to my judgment," Yi Haomiao rubbed his chin. Then, his eyes lit up and his voice became louder. "He will definitely regret it." "Ha, I think so too." Wan Yanling was amused by Yi Haomiao's appearance. Chapter 4477. As when Ziren and Shangwan Yingying walked out of the testing room, everyone's gaze fell on them again. Previously, a cultivator with superior talent had appeared, so everyone wanted to know the results of these two people. However, when the crowd saw the word superior again, they all fell silent. After everyone recovered from their shock, they could not help but curse. "Fuck! Are you kidding me? There are actually two more high-grade ones? Are you kidding me? Did they really come from the lower realm?" With such results, how could the Blazing Flames sect not accept them? The cultivators from the Azure Dragon sect immediately noticed Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest. There were only 6 people in total, but 3 of them were cultivators with superior talent. This ratio was extremely shocking. The most important thing was that the remaining 3 people didn't seem to be any worse than the previous few people. If these people were also high grade, then this kind of result would really be a little shocking. Steward Li from the Azure Dragon sect looked at them with interest. Although these little fellows came from the lower realm, their aura was extremely outstanding. Even among the many cultivators here, he was still in existence that caught the attention of others at first glance. As for why they were rejected by the Blazing Flames sect, he should really investigate this. Cultivators with superior talent would definitely achieve great things as long as they worked hard. Now that the Blazing Flame sect was also lacking in disciples, such talents, why would they reject them? Thinking of this, Steward Lee immediately called the person next to him over and whispered a few words into his ear. The man immediately nodded and disappeared into the crowd. Next, the man's voice was heard again. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang walked into the testing room. Just as she walked into the testing room, Bailey Hongzhuang felt her vision darken. Then an attack came stealthily. Hearing the sound of the wind, Bailey Hongzhuang attacked without hesitation. Bang, bang, bang. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure flashed as the attacks came stealthily. Her reaction speed was extremely fast. At this moment, she finally understood what this test was all about. However, this level of attack was nothing to her. As time passed, the speed of the attacks became faster. Bailey Hongzhuang could only hear the buzzing sounds in her ears. If she was even a little slower, the attacks would land on her mercilessly. She understood that once she was attacked, the test would end. Not only that, but she also felt a strange force sweeping across her body in the testing room, as if it was searching for something. Bailey Hongzhuang only walked out of the testing room when all the attacks stopped. Master, you'll definitely get a superior grade in this test. Xiaohei's face was filled with a pleased smile. There was no need to say more about her master's abilities. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, of course. However, just after Bailey Hongzhuang came out, everyone stared closely behind her, and some people even sucked in a breath of cold air. Gasp! It can't be? This is the first time someone of this level has appeared. Is this for real? This woman doesn't look special. How could she have achieved such a result? Chapter 4478. Please enter the text. Master, your grade is special grade. Xiaohei's eyes sparkled with excitement. Although she knew that her master's grade would not be bad, there had never been a special grade cultivator until now. She did not expect her master to reach special grade immediately. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly surprised when she saw the result, but she soon smiled. The female disciple in charge of recording was also slightly stunned when she saw Bailey Hongzhuang's grade. Her face was filled with shock. Special grade talent. At the same time, the surrounding Azure Dragon Clan cultivators were also whispering to each other. Their faces were filled with disbelief. A cultivator with special grade talent has actually appeared this time. Although special grade talent does exist, I've never seen a cultivator with special grade talent with my own eyes. I never thought that I'd be able to see one today. This girl is so young, and she's a cultivator from the lower realm. She actually has special grade talent. Looks like she must be a top genius from the lower realm. We've struck gold this time. The Blazing Flames clan has actually rejected a cultivator with special grade talent. Steward Lee's burning and bright eyes landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. The excitement between his brows was like a pervert who had just seen a peerless beauty. His entire being was filled with excitement. A cultivator with special grade talent. She's really an excellent seedling. He had been a steward in the Azure Dragon Clan for so many years. He had often seen cultivators with superior talent, but special grade cultivators were extremely rare. If he had previously suspected that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could be spies sent by the Blazing Flames clan, he no longer had any doubts now that he knew about their talent. The Blazing Flames clan would not bear to let a genius like this become a spy, because a cultivator with such talent was enough for them to show off. He felt that the next time he met Steward Wu, he would have to properly explain this matter. Miss, this is your identity token. The female disciple in charge of recording was full of smiles as she handed the identity token to Bailey Hongzhuang with both hands. Facing a new disciple, she did not feel that there was anything wrong with this kind of attitude, because as long as it was a cultivator with exceptional talent, their future development in the Azure Dragon School would definitely not be simple. Many thanks. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a gentle smile as she nodded her head. When Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the team, Imo Yunjue and Bewitching's eyes were filled with admiration. Hongzhuang, you're amazing. Imo Yunjue's eyes shone brightly. When Steel Sun separated from Bailey Hongzhuang, she was just an ordinary cultivator. Unknowingly, Bailey Hongzhuang had grown to such an extent. It was truly astonishing. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Actually, I didn't expect this to happen either. As she spoke, she tilted her head and looked at Di Beichun. Why aren't you praising me? Di Beichun raised his eyebrows. My wife has always been amazing. This result is within my expectations. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. I'll go over first. After Bailey Hongzhuang finished her test, Imo Yunjue also walked into the test room. Originally, everyone was waiting to see Bailey Hongzhuang and the others make a fool of themselves. However, after seeing each of their results, everyone quietly gave up on that thought. Chapter 4479. Hongzhuang, you actually reached special grade. As soon as Bailey Hongzhuang approached, Shangguan Yingying's excited voice rang out. When Xiren also came over curiously, how did you pass? Why did you reach special grade? I don't know either. I just kept dodging the attacks inside and came out after it was over. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged innocently. In her opinion, this testing room should have its own set of standards. It's that simple? Ao Lingxiao was stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. It's that simple. It can't be? Ao Lingxiao's face immediately fell. I thought it was pretty good that I reached special grade. I didn't expect this guy to reach special grade as well. He glanced at Xiren, then said helplessly, That's fine, but you're even more ridiculous. You're special grade. How are you going to let others live? Haha. When Xiren laughed heartily, don't look down on us lower realm cultivators. You'll be at a disadvantage. After Bailey Hongzhuang's special grade, almost everyone was attracted by the two-word special grade. Even the previously enviable special grade cultivators seemed to have lost their brilliance in an instant. Not long after, Imo Yunjue also came out. Special grade talent passed. The male cultivator in charge of recording saw this result and was already used to it. Fortunately, the other party didn't have another special grade cultivator. As for special grade talent, it seemed to be the average level of this team. Imo Yunjue also came to Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. However, Xiren and the others couldn't help but be surprised when they heard this result. According to past situations, Imo Yunjue should be at the same level as Bailey Hongzhuang. They didn't expect him to have special grade talent instead of special grade. However, they didn't show it on their faces. In reality, Imo Yunjue could have come to the upper realm a long time ago. It was only because their cultivation levels were not high enough that Imo Yunjue had been waiting for them. Yunjue, congratulations. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. A faint smile appeared on Imo Yunjue's handsome yet cold face. Unknowingly, you've already left me in the dust. Hongzhuang, your progress is really too fast. Not necessarily. I think it might be because your innate talents have yet to awaken. I've been in the upper realm for a while, and I've also awakened my innate talent. My cultivation method is different from yours. When Xiren looked at Ao Lingxiao suspiciously, Lingxiao, before your cultivation regressed, you should have already awakened your attributes, right? What's your situation now? I did awaken my element in the past, but if I want to cultivate my elemental power, I have to reach the astral light realm, so I'm afraid I have to start all over again. Ao Lingxiao looked helpless. This was not the result he wanted to see. Brother, Xiren patted Ao Lingxiao's shoulder. I really sympathize with you. Forget it. Chapter 4480. Special grade. The two large words that were shining with a rich light dazzled everyone's eyes. Everyone who originally heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that Imo Yunjue was a high grade immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Another special grade. This team that came from the lower realm actually had 4 high grade and 2 special grade. This kind of result was a bit too terrifying. The Azure Dragon clan's cultivators looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others with complicated gazes. They originally thought that they were just a team that came to embarrass themselves, but they didn't expect that they would actually obtain such a brilliant result. Fuck, are you kidding me? It's another special grade? I heard that last time when they were recruiting disciples, not a single special grade cultivator appeared. This time, Not only did two appear, but they were also in the same team. Last time, it took a long time for a high-grade cultivator to appear. Now, why are high-grade cultivators like cabbages? One left, one right. Looking at this result, when Zyron's smile widened, I knew that Beichun must have a special grade talent. Huh. Deep Beichun slowly walked over, his handsome face rippling with a warm smile. Looks like we've all passed. Bailey Hongzhuang's clear black and white eyes rippled with a bright light, then looked at the long line at the side. There are still so many cultivators who haven't taken the test. I'm afraid it'll be evening by the time the test is over. Eldest senior brother and the others are very concerned about our results. Why don't we take this opportunity to meet with them? Hearing this, Deep Beichun nodded. That's good too. No problem. Shangguan Ying and the others also nodded in agreement. There was no point in continuing to stay here anyway. When Wanyan Han, Wanyan Ling, and Yi Hao Miao found out about Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' results, they couldn't help but be stunned, their expressions becoming very strange. In the next second, the three of them couldn't help but sigh. It can't be. 4 high grade and 2 special grade. Yi Hao Miao's eyes widened. Then he sighed and shook his head. It's over. What's over? Shangguan Ying revealed a puzzled expression. We've successfully joined the Azure Dragon clan. Isn't that great? Why is it over? It's over, it's over. Wanyan Ling nodded. It's really over. What do you mean? Shangguan Ying frowned. Her good mood dissipated a little. She couldn't help but worry. I can already imagine the look of regret on Steward Wu's face when he finds out about this. Isn't this the end? Shangguan Ying was stunned for a moment before she chuckled. So that's what you're talking about. You scare me. I feel that when we return, Steward Wu might come looking for us. Wanyan Han chuckled. This time, Steward Wu has really sent a few good seedlings to the opponent. Are you serious? He will come and find you so soon. Zyron also came over. He was very satisfied with the results of today's test. Wanyan Han nodded. Of course it's true. In fact, the Raging Flame School will send people to observe every time they recruit new disciples. Your test results are so shocking. In my opinion, this news has most likely been sent back. Chapter 4481. By the time Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest returned to the Azure Dragon School, the test was already more than half complete. There were only a dozen people left. At a glance, the waiting area was already filled with dozens of cultivators. At this moment, everyone was happily chatting with each other. They were all outstanding cultivators who had stayed behind. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest appeared, there was a moment of silence. Only after they sat down did the atmosphere return to normal. Maybe we were too high profile before, so they saw us as monsters. Zyron revealed a helpless expression. He could clearly feel that other than the 6 of them, the rest were from another camp. Shangguan Ying glanced at Zyron. You still have the nerve to say that. The reason why we ended up like this was all because of you and Ao Ling Xiao. This matter has nothing to do with me. If you want to blame someone, blame your husband. Ao Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows and gave Zyron a look that said, good luck. Zyron rolled his eyes. No sense of loyalty. Not long after, when all the cultivators had finished their tests, the male and female cultivators who were in charge of recording walked over. Immediately after, Manager Li of the Azure Dragon School appeared in everyone's line of sight. Manager Li was about 45 years old. He wore a black robe, and his face was solemn and handsome. His eyes were imposing without anger. Just looking at his sharp eyes made people feel fear. Welcome to the Azure Dragon School. From today onwards, you are all members of the Azure Dragon School. A loud and powerful voice slowly rang out. Manager Li's gaze swept across everyone. That sharp gaze of his seemed to be able to see through everything, causing everyone who was originally restless to immediately quiet down. The Azure Dragon School is a big family. Since you have all joined, you naturally have to understand the rules of the big family. The rules are very simple. Work hard to cultivate and increase your own strength. Don't go out and cause trouble. In the Azure Dragon School, I don't care how you fight. However, once you leave the Azure Dragon School, you are all from the same school. You're not allowed to fight outside. Even if there are conflicts within the school, you can fight. However, you're not allowed to use underhanded methods. Do you understand? Understood. Manager Lee's every word smashed fiercely into everyone's hearts. That majestic and powerful voice made everyone not dare to resist in the slightest. However, right after he finished speaking, a smile bloomed on Manager Lee's face. As long as you don't make any mistakes, our Azure Dragon School is still very friendly to disciples. Cultivation resources are directly related to one's strength. Every month, there will be no shortage of cultivation resources for you. However, when you are required to complete a mission, you are not allowed to run away. Training is a path that every cultivator must go through, and it is also a way to improve. Yes. Now, follow me to your residence. There's a number on your identity card, which is your house number. You can find your own residence on your own. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me, or you can ask your senior brothers and sisters. Looking at such a dignified Manager Lee, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but look at each other. This Manager Lee's way of doing things was really swift and decisive. Thinking about it, since he was so strict, there shouldn't be many cultivators causing trouble in the Azure Dragon sect. Chapter 4482. The six of you, wait a moment. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but turn around, only to see Manager Lee's gaze fall on them. Come with me. As soon as he finished speaking, Manager Lee turned around and walked straight ahead. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others followed closely behind. They thought to themselves, I wonder what Manager Lee wants to say to us. Inside the room, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stood in a row and looked at Manager Lee. They had already guessed what Manager Lee wanted to say. Don't be nervous. Sit down and have a cup of tea. A smile appeared on Manager Lee's face, softening the cold and hard lines on his face. He became much warmer and gentler. I've called you here to have a chat. I heard that you originally wanted to join the Fiery Flames sect. Manager Lee's tone was gentle. After noticing the complicated expressions on Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' faces, he added, I don't mean anything by it. I just want to know why you didn't join the Fiery Flames sect and came to our Azure Dragon sect instead. Manager Lee, you're very resourceful. I'm sure you already know about this matter. Bewitching spoke slowly. His jade-black eyes rippled with the light of wisdom. We wanted to join the Fiery Flames sect because our eldest senior brother was there. However, Manager Wu of the Fiery Flames sect said that it wasn't the time for them to recruit disciples, so we came here. I see. Manager Lee nodded. According to the information that he had sent people to find out, the results were the same. Manager Lee, we went to the Fiery Flames sect because our senior brother was there. There was no other reason. When Zyron added, hearing this, Manager Lee smiled faintly and glanced at Zyron. He understood what he meant. I can understand this reason. However, from today onwards, you're a member of the Azure Dragon sect. Your relationship with Wanyan Han is your own matter. The Azure Dragon sect won't interfere. However, if Wanyan Han wants to use this relationship to rope you into the Fiery Flames sect, Manager Lee dragged out his words. He was almost certain that Wu Wenfeng did not know that these young people would have such results. Otherwise, he would not have missed out on such talents. However, after today's test, Wu Wenfeng must have received the news by now. He must be regretting it now. Since the talents had already come to their Azure Dragon sect, he could not let the Raging Flames school snatch them away. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others weren't stupid people. They naturally understood the meaning behind Manager Lee's words. They immediately expressed their stance. Manager Lee, since we've joined the Azure Dragon School, we're people of the Azure Dragon School. We definitely won't be disloyal. A satisfied smile appeared on Manager Lee's face. It's good that you understand. The Raging Flames school rejected you at the door, so it wouldn't be good for you to return. I can guarantee that you will receive the best cultivation resources in the Azure Dragon School. It definitely won't be any worse than the Raging Flames school. Following Manager Lee's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stood up and bowed. Thank you, Manager Lee. will definitely work hard in cultivation and won't disappoint you. All right, you must be tired today. Go back and rest first. You can familiarize yourself with the Azure Dragon School's environment on the way. If there's anything you don't understand or need help with, feel free to look for me. Since you've come to the Azure Dragon School, this is your home. Chapter 4483. The beautiful color of the setting sun dyed the whole earth red, sprinkling on the bodies of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, elongating the shadows of the 6 people. Do you think stewardly believed what we said just now? Shang Wanning looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others as she walked. Her beautiful and fair face revealed a faint worry. Although what they said was the truth, people in positions of power were often paranoid. He will believe us. Bewitching's eyes were filled with confidence. Even if he doesn't believe us, he will believe Steward Wu's reaction. Ao Ling Xiao couldn't help but frown. What do you mean? The Green Dragon sect and the Raging Flame sect have been fighting for so long. Stewardly naturally understands Steward Wu's personality and style very well. As long as he sees Steward Wu's reaction, he will know the truth of the matter. And Mo Yunjue's voice was calm and cold. His deep eyes rippled with the light of understanding. Oh, when Xiren suddenly understood. So that's how it is. Then according to what you said, we don't need to worry? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Don't worry, the innocent will know. Steward Li is not a stupid person. He will understand. While Bailey Hongzhuang and the others went back to rest, Steward Wu of the Raging Flame sect had been waiting for Wang Yanhan's return. Ever since he heard that the Green Dragon sect was recruiting disciples this time, he could no longer sit still. According to the news from his subordinates, a small team from the lower realm actually had 4 cultivators with superior talent and 2 with exceptional talent. This was simply too shocking. Cultivators with superior talent were the targets that all the major forces fought to recruit. As for cultivators with exceptional talent, needless to say, it was really rare to see them. He had never thought that the Azure Dragon School would be able to recruit such a talented cultivator. However, when he heard that these 6 people were actually from the lower realm, a complicated premonition arose in his heart. According to his understanding, Wang Yanhan had previously told him that there were 7 junior brothers and sisters from the lower realm, and one of them was his biological younger brother. Now that Wang Yanling had become a disciple of the Raging Flame School, there were 6 people left. The team heading toward the Azure Dragon Gate also had 6 people. Could these 2 teams of 6 be from the same team? When this thought surfaced, it could no longer be erased from Steward Wu's mind. They were all from the lower realm, and there were also 6 of them. How could there be such a coincidence in this world? If they were really the 6 people that he had rejected back then, wouldn't that mean that he had chased out 6 extremely talented cultivators? When he thought about how these cultivators were all chased out by him and allowed the Azure Dragon School to take advantage of them for no reason, he was almost oppressed to death. As Wang Yanhan returned, Wu Wenfeng asked the cultivator outside, replying to the steward, "Not yet. Tell him to come to me as soon as he comes back." Wu Wenfeng's expression was extremely complicated. Although he had already determined this result, he still wanted to confirm it. He only hoped that he was overthinking and that he did not let go of such a talent. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the others left, Wang Yanhan, Wang Yanling, and Yi Haomiao made a trip to the association before returning to the Raging Flame sect together. Chapter 4484. Hearing this, Wang Yanhan was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that he had guessed correctly. Steward Wu had already sent someone to look for him. "Thank you. I'll be right there." "Hurry up." Yi Haomiao couldn't help but say after the cultivator left, "Wang Yanhan, what you said before was right. Steward Wu must have received the news and immediately started looking for you. In my opinion, Steward Wu must be regretting it now." Wang Yanling sighed. If only Steward Wu had agreed to let them join. It's too late now. Although he hadn't been in contact with Deep Beichin and the others for a long time, he had already determined that they were all worthy friends. He originally thought that they could still get along after coming to the upper realm. This was undoubtedly excellent, but he didn't expect to be rejected by Steward Wu. If Steward Wu wants them to come back now, Yi Hao Miao frowned and probed. Do you think they'll still come back? No, Wang Yanhan and Wang Yanling said in unison. Yi Hao Miao was stunned. Why are you so determined? Actually, I think it's good that they're back. This way, we can all cultivate together again. They're not like that. Wang Yanhan's black eyes were filled with helplessness. If possible, I also hope that they'll come back. However, they've joined Azure Dragon School. It's impossible to abandon them like this. That's right. Wang Yanling nodded. They're all very loyal people. Since they've decided to join Azure Dragon School, they'll be a part of Azure Dragon School in the future. However, our friendship won't change because of this. It's just that it's basically impossible to get them to come back. Seeing that the two Wanyan brothers were so determined, Yi Hao Miao understood that there was indeed no hope in this matter. Then there's no other way. Even if Steward Wu regrets it now, it's useless. He's the one who pushed the talents away. You guys go back and rest first. I'll go to Steward Wu's place. When Wang Yanhan arrived, Steward Wu was already waiting with his head craned in anticipation. Steward Wu, I heard that you were looking for me? Wang Yanhan bowed and spoke respectfully. Even though he had already guessed the reason why Steward Wu was looking for him, he did not reveal any clues on his face. His innocent look was as if he did not know what was going on. Looking at Wang Yanhan's innocent expression, Wu Wenfeng paused what he wanted to say. After sorting out his thoughts, he said, Wang Yanhan, you told me before that you and 6 other disciples came to Rowan City, right? Yes. Wang Yanhan nodded. Are they still interested in joining the Blazing Fire School? Wu Wenfeng's eyes sparkled as he probed with his deep voice. Wang Yanhan looked at Wu Wenfeng in astonishment. Steward Wu, didn't you say that now isn't the time to recruit disciples? Is it okay now? I'm just asking about their intentions. They really do want to join the Blazing Flame School, but there's still half a year before we recruit new disciples. Coincidentally, the Azure Dragon School is recruiting new disciples today, so they went to the Azure Dragon School. Wang Yanhan pretended to be helpless and regretful. Following Wang Yanhan's words, Wu Wenfeng's brows suddenly twitched. He only felt that the premonition in his heart seemed to have become reality in an instant. Chapter 4485. Wang Yanhan nodded with a smile. I just want to see them and just came back. They achieved very good results today. 4 of them are upper class and 2 are special class. They are now members of the Green Dragon School. Actually, I always knew that their cultivation talent was very outstanding. Back in the lower realm, there were also rare genius cultivators. It was expected that they would achieve such results. Wang Yanhan's face was filled with a confident and joyful smile. He was obviously proud of his senior and junior brothers for achieving such good results. Looking at Wang Yanhan's bright smile, Wu Wenfeng only felt that it was especially dazzling and heartbreaking. 4 of them with upper-class talent and 2 special-class talent flew away from his eyes just like that, and they were chased away by him. When he thought of this, his heart began to bleed. How could he do such a stupid thing? Wang Yanhan, why didn't you tell me that their cultivation talent was so outstanding? Wu Wenfeng said with a stiff expression. Wang Yanhan looked nervous. Steward Wu, I already told you that their talent was very outstanding. However, you said that it was not the right time and directly refused. You said that it was useless no matter what I said. Wu Wenfeng recalled the previous scene, when Wang Yanhan said that he wanted to introduce a few disciples to the Blazing Flame School. He did say that their talent was very outstanding. However, he did not take it to heart at all. After all, he had some understanding of the cultivation level of the lower realm cultivators. Wang Yanhan's level was already extremely powerful among the lower realm cultivators. Moreover, Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang had appeared before. Therefore, when Wang Yanhan mentioned that these 6 people were also disciples of the Penglai Palace, he did not pay too much attention to it. After all, it was a little too heaven-defying for so many talented cultivators to suddenly appear in the same force. However, reality told him that it was that heaven-defying. Wang Yanhan looked at the silent Steward Wu and could not help but ask, Steward Wu, do you have anything else to say? Wu Wenfeng's expression was slightly complicated. His voice was low and hoarse. I've heard about their results in the Green Dragon School today. Since you're their senior brother, why don't you help me ask if they're willing to come to the Blazing Flame School? Hearing Wu Wenfeng's words, Wang Yanhan was slightly stunned. Steward Wu, do you mean that you want me to poach them? They are now members of the Azure Dragon School. I know that this is indeed a little inappropriate, but you also know the current situation of the Blazing Flame School. We've been competing with the Azure Dragon School for so many years. The more talented they are, the more of a threat they pose to us. Since you have a good relationship with them, I believe it shouldn't be a problem to call them back. Although this is not a good thing to do, we have to look at the big picture. Wu Wenfeng's pitch-black eyes rippled with a resolute luster. He was almost certain that the Azure Dragon School's manager, Li, had already figured out the ins and outs of this matter. Presumably, he was secretly laughing about this matter right now. He had indeed chased away a few great talents, but as long as he managed to poach them back, the ones who would suffer and lose face would still be the Azure Dragon sect. Wang Yanhan fell into silence. Even though he had expected that Steward Wu would make such a decision, when it really happened, he still didn't know how to answer Steward Wu. Chapter 4486. Steward Wu, my junior brothers and junior sisters are all very loyal people. Previously, they came to the upper realm for the first time and didn't understand the situation here. When they knew I was in the Blazing Flame School, they naturally wanted to go with me, but they were rejected in the end. Now that they've joined the Azure Dragon School, judging from their behavior, they're quite satisfied with this result. I'm afraid it's not very likely for them to return. Wang Yanhan tried his best to explain the facts tactfully. He knew Bailey Hongzhuang and the others too well. It was impossible to poach them back. Moreover, anyone would have a temper. Previously, Wu Wenfeng had rejected them without giving them any face. Now, he wanted to recruit them back, let alone them. Even if it were someone else, they probably wouldn't agree so easily. Hearing that, Wu Wenfeng couldn't help but frown. I understand that I hurt their feelings by rejecting them, but as long as they join the Blazing Flame School now, I can compensate them. Seeing that Wu Wenfeng was still unwilling to give up, Wang Yanhan's feelings were extremely complicated. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have done it in the first place. It was a pity that things had already come to this point, and there was no turning back. And talk to them first. If it really doesn't work, then forget it. Wu Wenfeng sighed. He was already regretting his actions to the extreme. He was really unwilling to hand over these geniuses on a silver platter. Yes. Wang Yanhan cupped his hands before leaving. After leaving the room, Wang Yanhan suddenly realized that Wang Yanling and Yi Haomiao hadn't returned. Instead, they were waiting for him on the way. You don't have to say it. I can already guess from your expression. Yi Haomiao spread his hands and curled his lips into a speechless smile. Steward Wu must be unwilling to give up and wants you to go back and persuade them again, right? Wang Yanhan nodded helplessly. That's right. Then let's go. Although the possibility of them agreeing is very small, since Steward Wu has spoken, we should at least ask, said Wang Yanling. Let's go. The truth was just as they expected. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others chose to refuse. Actually, it didn't make any difference to them no matter which force they joined. However, they had just joined the Azure Dragon School. If they transferred to the Blazing Flame School, it would undoubtedly embarrass the Azure Dragon School. They had no enmity with the Azure Dragon School, so it was inappropriate for them to do this. Moreover, in this way, they would undoubtedly make many enemies. In this regard, Wang Yanhan did not say anything more. If he were in Bailey Hongzhuang's position, he would probably make the same decision. However, he had to be careful when facing Steward Wu. D family clan. In the conference hall. The head of the D family, D Lin Xian, was sitting on the main seat at the top, while old Madame Xiao Wanrong was sitting beside him. D Yujue, Lin Yunqing, and the other elders of the D family were all gathered together. All the important figures of the D family were present. D Yujue looked at the man kneeling on the ground in front of him, his handsome face full of anger. I really didn't expect that the spy in the family would be the butler that we have always trusted. Duju's deep voice was filled with killing intent and anger. He clenched his fists tightly, and the sharp and ruthless light seemed to want to cut the kneeling man into pieces. Chapter 4487. From that moment on, he had already realized that there was a spy in the family. Otherwise, their actions would have been so secretive that it would have been impossible for them to leak out. Naturally, no one would have obstructed their line of sight. Therefore, he began to investigate the clues that his opponents revealed when they spread the news back to the family. He had to find this malignant tumor in the family. Otherwise, if he continued to hide, the trouble would only grow. Even if they found Beichun, they would still put him in a dangerous environment. However, the other party had hidden too deeply. He spent a lot of effort to investigate. Other than him, Lin Yinqing, and the family head, he did not tell anyone else about this news. In the end, after spending a period of time, he finally locked onto his target. It was the D family steward, D Kaiyuan. D Kaiyuan, we have not treated you unfairly all these years. You actually betrayed us and did such a thing. Di Linxian slammed the armrest angrily. His deep and dark eyes burned with raging anger. His dignified and mellow voice was powerful and resonant, causing people's hearts to tremble. However, Di Kaiyuan, who was kneeling on the ground, remained silent. Tell me, did you have something to do with the disappearance of my grandson? Xiao Wanrong glared at him. Her originally gentle and kind face instantly became fierce and serious. When she thought about how her grandson had been wandering outside for so many years and caused their family to be separated, she wished that she could tear this bastard in front of her into pieces. That's right, I did something. Di Kaiyuan looked coldly at Xiao Wanrong and the others. Since I've been caught by you, I won't say anything more. If you want to kill me or torture me, do as you wish. Seeing Di Kaiyuan's fearless expression, anger appeared in the eyes of everyone from the D family. As a member of the D family, the family has always treated you well. Why did you do this? Lin Yinqing looked at Di Kaiyuan with burning eyes, as if she wanted to see through all his thoughts. The D family has treated me well. Di Kaiyuan chuckled. This is just what you think. This is the truth. Di Yujue's face was cold. You've been the family's housekeeper for so many years. You know worse than anyone else in terms of food, clothing, and other things. No matter what you need, we've done everything we can. What else do we owe you? If you really treat me as one of your own, why don't you let me cultivate the family's cultivation method? Di Kaiyuan's eyes flashed with hatred as he roared loudly. My cultivation talent is not inferior to anyone's. Why can I only be a butler? Why should I care about these trivial matters? If you really treated me as a member of the D family, would you do that? Hearing this, Di Yujue's gaze turned even colder. Di Lin Xian said bitterly, back then, when I asked you if you were interested in managing the household, you were the one who said you were interested. That's why I let you take over. If you're not interested, you can tell me directly. Do you think I'll force you? Of course you say that. But I'm just an outsider that my mother brought to the D family. Do I have a right to say no? Of course, I can only accept whatever you say. Chapter 4488. Di Linxian and the others could not help but feel a chill in their hearts when they saw Di Kaiyuan's face filled with jealousy and resentment. Back then, Di Kaiyuan's surname had not been Di. It was only after he had joined the D family that he had been given the surname D. In order to prevent him from feeling disappointed, they had even deliberately asked him what he liked to do. They had thought that this would allow him to live a good life, but they had never thought that he would bear a grudge against the D family for everything. A narrow-minded person will always put the blame on others instead of thinking about his own problems. With your personality, no matter how the D family treats you, you'll always find problems with it. No matter how well we treat you, it's useless. Di Yujue's eyes were as cold as a knife, without the slightest bit of warmth. A pitiful person must have a hateful side. The D family should not have taken in this kind of person back then. Di Linxian sighed and nodded. When I had brought him to the D family, I had wanted to take good care of him, but I never thought that I would take in an ingrate. I want my grandson down. At this moment, Di Linshuan's eyes were slightly red. He thought about how his grandson had been left outside for so many years. Even though Sect Master Situ had treated him well, how could it compare to growing up in his own home? Just the fact that he had been abandoned was enough to hurt him. He had always thought that it was Di Yujua's negligence that had caused this, but he never thought that the root cause was himself. Old man, you didn't want this to happen either. Xiao Wanrong looked at Di Linshuan worriedly. She understood Di Linshuan's temper the best. He had always cared about Di Beichen. Now that he knew that it was his fault, he would definitely not be able to accept it. Don't blame yourself. Di Kaiyuan's expression turned very ugly when he heard everyone's words. However, he firmly believed that things were not as they had said. Don't put on an act in front of me. I remember clearly how you've treated me all these years. However, in the face of Di Kaiyuan's hysteria, Di Yujue and the others had no intention of continuing to speak to him. Some people have been stuck in a dead end for their entire lives. It was useless for them to say anything more. Who are you working for? Why didn't they let Beichun come back? Lin Yinxing took a step forward. Her gaze was as sharp as a knife, and her usually gentle face was now filled with sternness. I won't tell you. Di Kaiyuan's lips curled into a mocking smile. The treatment of direct descendants is indeed different. It's been so many years since you left, yet you still haven't given up on searching. He's really lucky. He's been out there for so many years, yet he didn't die and was even found by you guys. However, all of this is useless now. What do you mean? Di Yujue's expression changed, and his deep voice was filled with pressure. He lifted Di Kaiyuan up with one hand and said, "Tell me clearly, what do you mean by that?" Di Kaiyuan grinned. "He will never come back." What did you say? Many members of the Di family present couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. They couldn't believe the meaning behind those words. While you were looking for him, someone had already killed him. Bang! Di Yujue punched Di Kaiyuan in the face. The huge force shattered Di Kaiyuan's teeth, and his entire face swelled up. Chapter 4489. Lin Yunqing's face instantly turned pale and bloodless. She almost lost her balance and fell to the ground. Fortunately, the young man next to her supported her. "Aunt, are you all right?" However, Lin Yunqing was not in the mood to answer him. Her mind was only filled with one piece of news. He was dead. Beichun was dead. She did not even have the time to look at him before he was dead. A few days ago, she was still immersed in the joy of being reunited with Di Beichun. She had been thinking about how she should speak to Beichun and how she should get along with her daughter-in-law when they first met. However, in just a short moment, all of this had turned into a bubble. He could not possibly come back again. Di Linshuan was also stunned. His weathered face seemed to have aged quite a bit in a short period of time. Even the white hair on his temples seemed to have increased. His grandson who had been through a lot of misfortune, had fallen before he could even return. Even though Di Beichun had been missing for so many years, at least they still had a trace of hope in their hearts. Now, the other party had directly told them that Di Beichun was no longer in this world. How could they accept this? Xiao Wanrong's body trembled as well. Her eyes turned red and tears flowed uncontrollably. My grandson, how could he have such a hard life? The faces of the Di family's elders turned ugly when they heard the news. Ever since they found out that Di Beichun was still alive, they had been looking forward to meeting him. Even though Di Beichun had been away all these years, they believed that Di Yujue's son would not be too bad. However, who would have thought that this would be the outcome? Di Kaiyuan looked at the pained looks on Di Yujue and the others' faces, and the smile on his face grew even more brilliant. Haha, you're heartbroken now, aren't you? Di Kaiyuan laughed loudly. You only value the direct descendants, so I won't let your direct descendants come back. Am I not considered a direct descendant? Just because I'm an illegitimate son, you're treating me like this. As he spoke, Di Kaiyuan's eyes flickered with a crazy and paranoid light. Why? This kind of birth is not something I can decide. Why can't I receive fair treatment? As soon as these words were spoken, Di Yujue and the others were slightly stunned. They subconsciously looked at Di Lin Xian, who was sitting on the main seat. Di Kaiyuan was Di Lin Xian's illegitimate son? This was something that even they did not know. However, Di Lin Xian's eyes suddenly lit up with understanding. His voice was heavy and distant as he said, "So you've been misunderstanding me all this time. Isn't that so? Since you dare to do it, why don't you dare to admit it?" Di Kaiyuan questioned loudly. "Otherwise, why would you bring me back to the Di family and give me the surname Di? My mother died of depression. Alas." Xiao Wanrong sighed. "I didn't expect such a misunderstanding to occur. You are mistaken. You are not my son," Di Lin Xian said in a deep voice. As soon as Di Lin Xian finished speaking, Di Kaiyuan was stunned, and his eyes turned slightly red as he said, "How could that be possible? You're just unwilling to admit it because of your status as the head of the family. A big family like the Di family is not a place that ordinary people can enter, let alone be given the surname Di. This was something that was impossible in the history of the Di family. Not to mention him, many people in the Di family thought so, but no one said it out loud." Chapter 4490. That year, I went out to train and became good brothers with your father. We became sworn brothers with different surnames. At that time, your mother was already pregnant, and I was going to look for a spirit medicine. Your father was worried about me going alone and asked to go with me. He never thought that he would die in the process to save me. Before he died, he entrusted you and your mother to me and asked me to take good care of you. If it wasn't for me, your father wouldn't have died, so I brought you and your mother back to the Di family. To me, you are my son. I was worried that you would be bullied in the Di family without a name, so I discussed it with Wanrong and gave you the surname Di. Your mother and father had a very good relationship. Although I could take care of her, she missed your father too much and later died of depression. I thought that she had told you everything, but I didn't expect that you were still young when your mother passed away. Perhaps you didn't understand these things. No matter what, I do owe you, so I've been doing my best to take care of you all these years. Even if some people in the family aren't satisfied, I still insist, because I owe you my life." Di Linchuan's voice trembled. The one thing he regretted the most in his life was that he had insisted on looking for the spirit medicine. If he hadn't gone, Di Kaiyuan's father wouldn't have died, and their family would have been able to live a good life. Even though he had done his best to make up for it, he couldn't replace Di Kaiyuan after all. He didn't expect that his actions would cause Di Kaiyuan to have such a misunderstanding, resulting in so many things happening. Hearing Di Linchuan's words, everyone finally understood that so many things had happened. No wonder Di Linxian had been taking care of Di Kaiyuan so much. Even family members couldn't stand it anymore. All this time, they had also had such suspicions, but no one had said it out loud. That's right, I also know about what happened back then. We owe you and your mother, so we wanted to make it up to you as much as possible, but we didn't expect you to be so stubborn. Xiao Wanrong sighed faintly. What happened back then was indeed our fault, but now that you've done such a thing, we're even. But, Yinqing, our Di family has let you down. Speaking of this, Xiao Wanrong couldn't help but shed tears. This matter was the fault of the Di family, but the one who was most sorry was Lin Yinqing. As a mother, it was easy to imagine how painful it must be for her child to encounter such an unexpected calamity. At this moment, she really didn't know how to face Lin Yinqing. "This is impossible," Di Kaiyuan shouted crazily. His eyes turned red, filled with paranoia and disbelief. "How could this be? We've already come this far, so why don't you admit it? Whether you believe it or not, this is the truth." Di Linxian looked at Di Kaiyuan with a complicated gaze. He really didn't expect that the good karma back then would lead to today's bad karma. "If you don't believe me, you could do a blood test." Xiao Wanrong looked at Di Kaiyuan coldly. "If you've always been so sure in your heart, you could have come to us to verify it long ago. Why did you keep hiding it in your heart? Ask yourself, have the Di family really mistreated you all these years? We will try our best to satisfy all your requests." Chapter 4491. Xiao Wanrong's words were like pearls, stabbing into Di Kaiyuan's chest like a sharp blade. After the bloody truth was revealed, Di Kaiyuan found it even harder to accept. He could not believe that the final truth would be like this. It turned out that the Di family did not owe him anything. He was not an illegitimate child. He was just an outsider. All these years, he had always believed that what he thought was the truth. If that was really the case, then what was the pain and resentment he had suffered all these years? Was he repaying kindness with ingratitude? No. Di Kaiyuan shook his head with a pale face. Impossible. It can't be like this. Di Linshuan's eyes were complicated and disappointed. Forget it. You can leave. A life for a life. I've already repaid what I owe you. I won't kill you because I promised your father to take good care of you. But you can't stay in the Di family anymore. The farther you go, the better. Don't let us see you again, Xiao Wanrong also said. They really did not know what to say in this situation. A desolate feeling of a farmer and a snake spread in his heart. His heart gradually turned cold. This kind of coldness could not be expressed with words. The cultivators of the Di family fell into silence. They originally wanted to kill Di Kaiyuan to vent the hatred in their hearts. But looking at Di Kaiyuan's unacceptable expression, it was obvious that he had suffered a huge blow. If Di Kaiyuan was unwilling to believe it before, after seeing this scene, he already understood that all of this was true. He had misunderstood everything. Yes, why didn't he have the courage to ask for the truth? He asked himself. From the standards of an outsider, the Di family had already done everything they could for him, but he didn't know. Di Kaiyuan seemed to have gone crazy. Under everyone's surprised gazes, he suddenly slammed into the pillar in the meeting hall. Seeing this, the members of the Di family were all stunned. His actions were so sudden that none of them had time to react. Bang! A loud sound suddenly resounded. Di Kaiyuan fell to the ground. His forehead was already dripping with blood, but his face also showed a relieved expression. He raised his head to look at Di Linshuan as tears fell from the corners of his eyes. His originally crazy and stubborn face was now filled with pain and regret. I'm sorry. I've been so muddle-headed all these years. With the last of his strength, he knelt in the direction of Lin Yunqing and Di Yujue. I'm sorry. Di Yujue hurriedly stepped forward to support Di Kaiyuan and shouted, Kaiyuan, if there's a chance in the next life, I'll definitely return this debt to you. Di Kaiyuan's expression was mournful, but his eyes gradually became unfocused. His hand slipped down and lost all signs of life. However, this was the true release for him. He had been trapped in hatred for so many years that he only realized how foolish he had been right before his death. When faced with such a Di Kaiyuan, everyone fell into silence. What he had done was indeed hateful, but facing him like this, how could they continue to hate him? It was just that. Beichen had been wronged. Daughter-in-law, I'm sorry. Di Linshuan's weathered face was filled with guilt. He had thought that he had lived an open and above-board life, but he did not expect to cause such a thing. He really did not have the face to face Lin Yunqing. Lin Yunqing covered her face and cried bitterly. At this moment, she could no longer control her emotions. Di Yujue's eyes were also red. It was not easy for him to find Di Beichun, but he never thought that. Chapter 4492. Night had enveloped the land, and moonlight poured into the room through the window. Di Linshuan and Di Yujue stood opposite each other in the room. Both of their faces were filled with grief and heaviness. How's Yunqing? Di Linshuan asked slowly. His voice was filled with the vicissitudes of life and a sigh. He had never imagined that things would end up like this. Di Yujue sighed. This matter has dealt a huge blow to her. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have told her about it. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Although Lin Yunqing had been secretly grieving over this matter, her condition had been relatively stable. However, after experiencing this incident, her emotions had fluctuated greatly. He had been doing his best to console her before coming here. Unfortunately, it was to no avail. Sigh. Lin Xian sighed. It's all my fault. Father, this matter was not something you could have predicted. Kai Yuan has been acting like a gentleman all these years. Who would have thought that he would always have such thoughts? You must not blame yourself for harming yourself. Yujue, I've always thought that it was your fault that Beichen disappeared all those years ago. I've never treated you well all these years. However, I never imagined that I would be the cause of all this. Now that things have come to this, I really don't know how to face all of you. Father, we're family. Is there a need for you to say such things? I plan to pass the position of patriarch to you. This old man has been holding on all these years. I'm really tired. Father, Yujue was worried. When he saw Lin Xian like this, he even felt that it would be better for his father to continue misunderstanding him like this. Now that the truth had been revealed, he could clearly sense that his father's condition had worsened. Lin Xian raised his right hand and stopped him. You know that I wanted to pass the position of patriarch to you. Now it's time to pass it to you. Yujue fell silent when he heard this. He had always known Lin Xian's plan. All these years, Lin Xian had not passed the position of patriarch to him. On the surface, it seemed like he was punishing him, but in reality, wasn't it to give him more time to search for Beichen? Otherwise, once he sat in this position, he would not be able to run around everywhere. Lin Xian patted Yujue's shoulder and said, I believe you. After a moment of silence, Lin Xian suddenly said, Yujue, do you think Beichen's matter is really that simple? As soon as Lin Xian finished speaking, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became heavy. Yujue's dark and deep eyes flashed with a complicated yet wise light. Kai Yuan has been the family's housekeeper all these years and has a good network. But if he did it himself, I'm afraid he couldn't have done it so secretly. I think he must have a helper. Your thoughts are the same as mine. Lin Xian nodded. Why do you think Kai Yuan didn't tell us who the helper was? I think Kai Yuan might have been fooled as well. Lin Xian raised his eyebrows and motioned for Yujue to continue speaking. Kai Yuan isn't a calculated person. It's just that his mother's death has blinded him. But if that's all, he might not have come to this stage. There must be someone sowing discord in the background. That's why he became more and more extreme. Chapter 4493. It's a pity that Kai Yuan wanted to commit suicide. We couldn't stop him even if we wanted to. Yujue frowned. He didn't expect that Kai Yuan would choose to commit suicide after knowing the truth. After all, Kai Yuan had acted so tough before. Yujue even thought that he might not tell the truth under torture. Who would have thought that he would make such a decision? If we could have stopped him, we would have known who was fanning the flames. This person not only fanned the flames and sowed discord, but also helped Kai Yuan accomplish these things. It's obvious that he's quite capable. Lin Chuan's expression was grave. This incident had undoubtedly given them a warning. Someone had been secretly sabotaging the D family. Yujue nodded. We've always been paying attention to the D family's power. If they want to mobilize a group of people to deal with Beichen and confuse us, they obviously need a powerful force. If it's someone from the D family who wants to mobilize this force, we'll definitely notice it. I think there's definitely someone else involved. This person is bent on destroying the unity of the D family and trying to deal with our direct descendant. He must have other motives. Lin Chuan's voice was low. He looked at Yujue with a complicated and cautious gaze. It's been so many years since Beichen went missing. That person has been doing things behind the scenes. It's obvious that this is a very long plan. If we don't notice it, it could be a huge disaster when these problems erupt. Yujue, you must find a way to get to the bottom of this. You must uproot the people that the other party has planted in the D family. Otherwise, we won't be able to eat or sleep in peace. Lin Xian clenched his right hand into a fist. Today's incident seemed like an ordinary incident. However, after he came back and thought about it carefully, he was terrified. This was definitely a conspiracy. Therefore, they couldn't continue like this. They had to get to the bottom of this. Father, I understand. Yujue's expression was serious and solemn. He had also expected this. He had to get to the bottom of this. Otherwise, it It would be too dangerous. The D family's many years of foundation must not be damaged. Xiaofeng has been out for a long time. Now that such a big thing has happened, you should call Xiaofeng back. Beichen can't come back, but at least Xiaofeng can accompany Yinqing, so Yinqing can feel a little better. Di Linxian couldn't help but sigh. He had been all-powerful all his life, but in the end, he couldn't even protect his own grandson. Thinking about it, he hated himself. I've already sent someone to send a message to Xiaofeng. He should be back soon. After Xiaofeng comes back this time, tell him to restrain himself and not to go out too often. Since they don't want our direct disciples to come back, maybe Xiaofeng is one of their targets. We've already lost Beichen. We can't lose Xiaofeng as well. Father, don't worry. I won't let this happen again. Di Linxian nodded. That's good. Just as Di Linxian was about to go back, he noticed that Di Yujue was still standing there. He couldn't help but ask, "Is there anything else you want to say?" "Father, although Kai Yuan said that Beichun is no longer in this world, we didn't see it with our own eyes. Although the probability of Beichun being alive is very small, if he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. As long as I don't see it with my own eyes, I can't accept this result." Chapter 4494. Kai Yuan didn't change his words until he died. This result, Di Linxuan's gaze was complicated and sorrowful. They all knew that Di Kaiyuan had figured everything out before he died. If Di Beichun wasn't dead, then Di Kaiyuan would definitely tell the truth. However, he didn't change his words. This proved that he wasn't lying. No matter what, I have to personally confirm this result. Di Yujua's attitude was firm. All these years, although we didn't say it out loud, didn't we all already believe that Beichun had fallen? However, I received news that Beichun is still alive. Di Yujua's face revealed a confident glow. I have a feeling that Beichun will definitely return to the Di family. He overcame such a great difficulty, like the cursed body. He's a descendant of the Di family. Even if he's been wandering outside all these years, he'll eventually return. Father, I've seen Beichun before. I know that he's a person with strong willpower. Even if Di Kaiyuan sent someone to kill him, the chances of him surviving are very small. However, I still hope that there will be miracles in this world. If I don't verify it, I'll never give up. Hearing Di Yujue's words, Di Linxuan's gaze gradually softened. He patted Di Yujue's shoulder. As expected of a good son of the Di family, don't give up until the last moment. Indeed, we haven't given up after searching for so many years. Now, we're only listening to the news from Kaiyuan. How can we give up without seeing it with our own eyes? Di Yujue's lips slowly curved into a smile. He knew that his father would definitely support his decision. He owed Beichun too much. All these years, he had never fulfilled his responsibility as a father. Even if Beichun had really fallen, he should at least bring back Beichun's corpse. Otherwise, how could he be considered Beichun's father? Don't be in a hurry to leave for now. Yinqing needs you. You can go after Xiaofeng returns. Di Linxian pondered for a moment before speaking slowly. He knew his daughter-in-law's character very well. She would not be able to take such a huge blow. If she didn't have a close relative by her side, she would definitely let her imagination run wild. Di Yujue nodded. All right, go back and take good care of Yunqing. Shuiyuan City. Di Xiaofeng had been accompanying Bailey Yinyan to take care of Bailey Shi. Now, Bailey Shi's condition was gradually improving. Although they were still some distance away from complete recovery, they could already see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yinyan, stay here and take care of Xier. I need to go back to the clan. Di Xiaofeng said slowly. In truth, he should have returned long ago. However, he was worried about Bailey Yinyan. That was why he had remained in Watercloud City all this time. Back then, he was inexplicably plotted against and hunted down. If it wasn't for his strength, he would have already lost his life. Based on the situation at the time, he felt that the other party was completely aware of his identity and had come for him. These people actually dared to openly hunt down a direct descendant of the Di family. It was clear that the other party's background was not simple. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to leave anyone alive at the time. He had no idea who had sent them. He had to report this matter to the clan. He had to be careful during this period. Hearing Di Xiao Feng's words, Bailey Union's expression changed slightly. You're going back. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.